Hey everybody, this is Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. and we are in the middle of our giant 9th anniversary celebration. Well, I have one more big product reveal for you today, and that is a new Make It Mark It mini kit. This mini kit is called ColourPop Florals, and it might just be my favorite mini kit of all time. So let's get right to it and let me show you how this all works. Alright, so one of the main elements in the kit is a set of stencils. Now, stencils have been around for a long time. They're new to Papertrey. This year we are just doing our own, starting to do our own line of stencils. But I think this kit puts a different little spin on the stencil idea. So I'm excited to show you how this all works. Alright, so per the name of the kit is ColourPop Florals. What you get in the kit is there are pattern papers which are all done in neutral tones, and then you will add pops of color to the flowers with the stencils. And this just gives, there's so many options with this kit. I have been playing around with it for the last couple days and just having so much fun with it. So the pattern papers, like I said, they are just done in some neutral colors, and all of the places that will get stenciled on are white, so that you can incorporate any color combination you want. There are a set of 3 cool neutrals, shades of gray. This coordinates with soft stone, smoky shadow, and then a true black. And then the warm neutrals, and I used my lightest shade of this paper, all the sheets. I was so busy creating that I forgot to save one for our video today. But there are 3 light colored neutral or warm neutrals, and they range from fine linen, and then classic craft, and dark chocolate. And you can see here where there are papers that feature an entire floral background, and this will allow you to really quickly and easily create some really pretty floral pattern papers. And then there is another set, and these are done in the same tones, 3 shades of cool neutrals and 3 shades of warm, and these all feature more of a bouquet that can be kind of more of a focal point or an accent on a card. And the same principle applies. You will use the stencils to add the color to the papers. So let me just show you, these are the stencils, and there are 3 stencils in the kit, and they are basically, it's like a 3-step stamp almost. It's kind of the same principle as multi-step stamping. This is multi-step stenciling, and I'll show you how easy it is. It's really fun to do. And then of course, if you've had experience with any of my other mini kits or even the full kits, a lot of times I also include some pre-printed elements, and this kit has those as well. There are some sheets of florals, and they coordinate with the dies in the kit. Of course, just like always, they have an outline around the outer edge that die just gets dropped inside, and you can go ahead and run them through your die cut machine, and then you get some nice perfectly cut pre-printed elements that you can use on your projects. And then of course there's always stamps. We have to have stamps in our kits. And this is a $5 mini stamp set that's in the kit. And what this will do is it'll allow you to add some details to your florals after you have inked them with the stencils. So let's just see this all in action here. Alright, I'm all set up to show you how this works, and let me just tell you a little bit about what I have here. Under my project I have a cutting mat from a Cricut machine, which is a tacky mat, and that's going to hold my panel of paper in place while I do my stenciling. If you don't have one of these, that's okay. You can use some painter's tape or something else to just keep everything in place. I do find I like the sticky mat here though. It really helps keep the paper in place, and then it'll also keep my stencil in place as well. Alright, and I also have 3 colors of ink. I'm going to use 3 different colors with the 3 steps of stencils. And then I have a blending tool. This is my favorite blending tool. It's from Ranger. And I have 3 sponges, 1 for each color of ink. Alright, so what we are going to do is we're going to place the stencil over top of this pattern paper. And just for a little alignment guide, each stencil has a circle cut out in the upper left corner. So that will be a good reference point for you to make sure your stencil is positioned correctly. And then your pattern paper, just make sure you have that laying correctly so that you can line that all up. There'll be the bottom left side of the paper, the bottom edge, has 2 partial florals, and that's just kind of a reference point for you as well. So go ahead and position that stencil right over top of that pattern paper, and then I'm going to just use my finger and kind of smooth around the edge. So stick it down to that tacky mat, and I'm going to start off with my hibiscus burst ink. So I'm going to put my pink sponge on my tool and then go ahead and just sponge my ink over top of these flowers. It's super quick, super easy. There's been a lot of talk about ink sponging lately, and people have been talking about how it's hard to get even color and even surfaces. But if you're new to it, this is a really great place to start, because the areas that you're inking are really small, and so getting even coverage is not a problem at all. I'm just using kind of a circular motion, and you can choose to kind of leave some of them lighter and give some variance in your inking. You can also take some sticky notes, and if you wanted to, on a few of my projects, I took some sticky notes and I just covered up. Say I wanted to ink all of the larger flowers in one color and the smaller flowers in another. I just took some post-it sticky notes and just kind of scattered those around and covered up anything that I didn't want to get inked. So it's a super easy masking technique that you can use there as well to incorporate more than one color for each step. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and pull my stencil off, and you can see how I have just some pretty pops of pink now. And then I'm going to move on to the next step. There's another stencil with the smaller flowers, and same thing, we're just going to make sure our little circle alignment guide is up in the upper left corner, and then just go ahead and lay that over the top, lining up all of those smaller flowers. And for these I'm going to use some Hawaiian Shores ink. So I'm going to change my sponging tool. And just the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use a circular motion, blending motion, and ink over all of those flowers. And again, you could choose to do multiple colors just by inking up portions of it and covering other portions. Depends how ambitious you want to be. If you want to do it quick and easy, just stick with one color. Okay, there we have our second color. Now we're going to move on and we're going to do the leaves. I have a separate stencil for the leaves. Same thing, just line that all up. And I am going to switch to my green pad. And next we're going to do some stamping with the little $5 mini stamp set that's included in the kit. And that is really what kind of brings the whole thing to life. All those details that you can add. It's a simple little stamp set, but I think I managed to incorporate quite a few different options that you can kind of layer and mix and match from the different flowers. And there's also a couple different leaf details too. Alright, so there is our stencil portion is done. We have all the color. Now we're going to go ahead and take those stamps. And I'm just going to take some ink colors that are a shade darker than what I was using for the stenciling. And I'm going to go ahead and take this large bloom. This is a detail for the larger flower. Okay, and then there is a smaller version of that same flower that you can use on the smaller flowers, or there's some other options. There are some kind of different centers here that you can use. This one is for the smaller flower, or this one is for the larger or smaller. I think this one looks cute on the smaller flower too, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to stamp this on all of those smaller flowers, and you can see how this whole pattern is just kind of coming to life. Alright, and then there are some details for the smaller flowers too. There's a couple different options and they're clustered together so it makes it super quick and easy. I'm going to be using this one, but there is also kind of a similar to the one we used on the large pink flowers, just kind of some outlines too. So I'm going to switch to Tropical Teal ink and go ahead and stamp all of those in those clusters. And there's a couple single flowers in here. There are single images for those as well, for the details on those. So I'm going to take that same one that I was using and stamp just those single flowers. Then there's a couple different options for the leaf details as well. There's kind of a solid, more of a solid, and then there's more of a vein. And you can use each of those individually, or you could even consider combining both of those with a few different shades of greens, or any other color, whatever color you want to make your leaves. It doesn't have to be green. It's stamping. You can make leaves whatever color you want. So there are 3 different sizes of leaves. There's large, medium, and small. Right now I'm stamping the vein details on all the large. See if I can find them all in here. Alright, I think we got them. Now I'm going to switch to the medium and stamp those. One more down here in the corner. And then we will switch to our smallest leaf detail and we'll grab those. Alright, and there, our pattern is finished. I also wanted to take you through step by step of sponging the ink onto the floral cluster pages because it's a little bit different than doing the background. With the background you just lay the stencil over the top and everything is lined up and you just go ahead and ink till your heart's content. But it's a little bit different when you do these sheets because you have to do a little bit of masking because it involves just sponging over individual flowers. And probably the biggest trick with this is actually figuring out which way the flowers go. But it's not too tough. So we're going to start off by inking up this large flower. And so I have that lined up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some sticky notes. And I'm just going to go ahead and mask off anything that's kind of in the area around whatever flower I'm inking at the moment. I've discovered I'm kind of messy at this, so I need to just cover up around any openings that are really close to the one that I'm inking. So I'm going to start off with my pink ink again, and I'll just go ahead and sponge the ink on this big flower right here. Okay, and then there's a smaller flower here, so we can just go ahead and move our stencil, and then, like I said, the biggest trick is twirling that stencil around and figuring out lining up those petals. There we go. And again, I'm just going to mask off those flowers in the areas right next to that one. I'm going to switch colors. I'm going to use some Tropical Teal for this one. Okay, so that covers the larger flowers which are on this stencil. Then we can switch to the smaller flower stencil and we'll pick up these flowers here. So I'm going to lay that over the top of that cluster of flowers. And this one doesn't have anything really right close in the area, but I'm messy, so I will go ahead and kind of cover those up. Now I'm going to take some Summer Sunrise ink for this one. I'll grab a yellow or orange pad for my sponging tool. Go ahead and sponge that, ink that up. Then we have a couple individual flowers. So we need to find those on our stencil. Okay, and then we can go ahead and take the leaves, or we could catch this little cluster up here too before we move on. And maybe we'll make that pink. You could get adventurous and kind of mask off one or two of those flowers if you want to make that cluster a different color. I did that in a few of my projects, but we're going to just make them all one color today. Line that up. And then we can grab our leaves. I'm going to switch to my green sponge. And then the same thing, you just need to locate the right image on the stencil to match it up with the paper. Mask it off if you think that's necessary. Okay, and we have another double leaf cluster right down here, so we'll grab that one. And then those as well. And those line up with this stencil right here. And then we have another one right up there. It's the little double one. Okay, so our inking, stenciling is all done, and then we can go ahead and add the stamp details just like we did on the other background. So you can also use the stencils on the die cuts. So let me just show you that real quickly. Using a sticky mat is also very helpful if you're trying to stencil on the die cuts, because the die cuts will stay in place. So I have this little triple flower cut here using this die, and I can just go ahead and line up my stencil. Oops. And then just go ahead and of course sponge the ink over top of it like we have been doing. And I have a perfectly cute little colored flower. And then of course you can add the stamping details as well. Well, that wraps up this peek into the new Make It Market mini kit called Color Pop Florals. This mini kit will be available for purchase beginning on February 15 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time from the Papertrey Inc. website. And I hope you had a great time learning about it, and I think you'll really enjoy playing around with it. Thanks for joining me. This has been Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc.